Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today we're going to be talking about all the books I read in the month of October. So in the month of October, despite the fact that I had a ton of schoolwork, I somehow managed to read a total of 16 books. I know, that's insane. Compared to last month, where I think I read a total of 6 books, yeah, I read 10 more books than I read last month. And that's just utterly unbelievable to me. I don't really know how I did it. I mean, I kind of know because some of the books that I read were comics and then the other ones were kind of shorter. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. I did not expect to read that much this month. I didn't read everything that was on my TBR. I know I had some books picked out. I think it was only like 5 or 6 books picked out. I read a couple of those books, but I didn't read all of those books, and I started a few of them, but I haven't finished them yet. So yeah, I read quite a lot, and for that reason, I'm gonna keep this video as brief as possible. I'm not gonna say too much about each book individually, just a brief little snippet and just my overall thoughts on it, and move on because we have a lot of books to get through. Also, I don't have a copy of every single book with me because a lot of the books I actually ended up borrowing from friends and then gave back to them, but I do have a copy, at least one, of each one for like the series. You'll see as we get into it. But without any further ado, and to keep this video as brief as possible, let's just get into the 16 books I read in the month of October. So the first book I read this month was actually a play, and it was a play that I had to read for school, and that is Antigone by Sophocles. Now this was actually a reread for me. I read Antigone in my sophomore year of high school, and I remember really liking it, but I had to reread it for my English class because we're studying it right now, and I reread it for the first time since then, and I absolutely loved it. I forgot how much I actually enjoyed this play, and it was just fantastic. If you guys haven't read Antigone, I highly recommend reading it. It's a wonderful play. It's very short, very easy to get through, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read in the month of October is The Glass Arrow by Kristen Simmons. I had said in my October TBR video that I wanted to finish this book because I'd started it a while ago but never got around to finishing it, and I finally finished it this month, and I have to say, I was very disappointed in this book. I'm not really going to go into my thoughts and feelings on this book in depth right now because I wrote out an entire detailed Goodreads review of this book, which I will direct you to. I'll link it in the description box so you guys can check that out. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything I feel towards this book. I was thoroughly disappointed. I was expecting some feminist themes to come through, and there were some feminist ideas in here, but they fell short and they kind of ended up doing more harm than good, and that was my biggest problem with this book. So yeah, I'll direct you to that Goodreads review if you're really interested in what I thought about this. But overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because it had a lot of potential. There were parts that I liked, but overall, I was just disappointed. The next book is actually a book that I also had to read for school, and I didn't start it this month. I'd started it before, but I ended up finishing it this month, and that is Feminism is for Everybody by Bell Hooks. I had to read this book for my Intro to Gender and Women's Studies class, and I absolutely loved it. The title says it all, honestly. If you are interested in feminism, if you are interested in gender studies, women's studies, anything of that sort, and you're looking for a good place to start, just a place to help you kind of begin to develop some ideas and begin to understand some of the concepts, I highly recommend this book. This book gives you a lot of information, and it's intersectional, and it's just overall very informative and very easy to read, and I highly recommend it. So if you are interested in anything regarding women's studies, gender studies, then I highly recommend checking this one out because it was a great read, and I think something that everyone should read. Pun intended. So the next series of books I read, I guess, are the series of Unfortunate Events books, books 5 through 12. I just finished the 12th one a couple days ago, and I just started the very last one, the 13th book, The End, and I'm not prepared for it. I only have the first one with me here right now because I was borrowing the other ones and I gave them back, so I don't have those right now. So I read a total of 8 of the series of Unfortunate Events books this month. I read books 5 through 12, and I absolutely love them. Honestly, it feels like almost every single one just gets better than the next one. And the 12th one has been like my favorite so far. It made me cry multiple times, and I'm just not prepared for the ending. But yeah, I read so many of these books in October, and I loved every single one of them. I'm loving this series, and it was just the perfect kind of creepy, evil mood, and it was just perfect for October, and I loved them. And I'm not prepared for the ending of it. And I rated each of these books slightly differently, but each of them I rated about a 3 to 4 stars, except for the 12th one, which I gave a 5-star because loved it so much. The next book that I read in the month of October is actually another book for school. I had a lot of reading to do for school, but that was okay because I still got lots of other reading done. But that book is I'm Down by Mishna Wolf. Again, I had to read this book for my Intro to Gender and Women's Studies class, and it is essentially just a memoir of this woman named Mishna Wolf who just recounts her childhood as a white girl growing up in a predominantly poor, low-class Black neighborhood, and just her experiences and her life. And it was very, very interesting, and I actually really enjoyed this book. A lot of people pass this book off as a humorous book, which it does have some funny parts to it, but overall it's quite depressing and quite sad, so I wouldn't say it's humorous, so please don't go into it thinking that it's supposed to be funny, because it's really not. It has funny moments, but it's pretty sad. But overall, I really did enjoy it. I thought that it was informative. I thought it was a different take on the issues that she discussed, and I very much appreciated that throughout the book she stayed very aware of her privilege and her whiteness, so that didn't come through too often. It did in some cases, but it was kind of thematically relevant. So overall, I really enjoyed this, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read / finished in the month of October is finally Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I have already put up a whole discussion video for this book, so if you're interested in knowing my in-depth thoughts, feelings, and everything about this book, I will leave a link to that on the screen and in the description box so you can check it out. Overall, I'll say this here because I feel like a lot of people don't actually know how I feel about this book unless they've watched that video. So for those of you who may not have seen that video yet, I will tell you that I was very, very disappointed in this book. I was not its biggest fan. It had moments that I really, really enjoyed, and then moments that kind of ruined a lot of things for me. I have a difficult relationship with this book, and now I kind of have a difficult relationship with the whole series overall, and I feel like that tells you a little bit about how much this book changed my opinion on things. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, and that may seem kind of like a higher rating, but that's only because there were some parts, like I said, that I really did enjoy, but overall, a major disappointment for me, and I just had lots of issues. Lots and lots of issues. And finally, the last series or set of comics that I read in the month of October are Saga Volumes 2 through 4. Again, I only have the first one with me here because I was borrowing the other volumes from a friend and I had to give them back. But yes, I read, finally, Volumes 2, 3, and 4, and oh my god, guys, each one just gets better and better, and I'm obsessed with Saga. If you don't already know that, you probably do if you've watched a few of my videos because I talk about it a lot now. I'm just so in love with these comics, so in love, and like I said, each one just gets better and better, and I have the 5th one and I'm going to read it very soon. But I don't want to because I don't want to have to wait for the next one to come out, and I don't know how long I'm gonna have to wait for it. But yeah, so good. I loved them all. I think I gave the second one a 4 out of 5 stars, and then I gave the third and the fourth one each 5 out of 5 stars. Highly, highly recommend. I adore these comics. They're fantastic. So that is it, guys. That is it for my October wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys read in the month of October and what your favorite thing is that you read in the month of October. Mine is definitely a toss-up between the Series of Unfortunate Events books and the Saga volumes. I love, love, love both of them, and I'm just so into them, and I can't wait to read more of them. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Comes in this little bag right here, which is very cute and I like, and it has a little sticker or a little print that's on it, and it says to read or not to read. Is that even a question?